For years, the mainstream media and Hollywood elites desperately tried to tell you to look the other way. They went on national television and looked directly into the camera, insisting that you needed to stop asking questions about Jeffrey Epstein and the incredibly powerful people orbiting his dark universe. They told us it was all just baseless internet rumors, wild conspiracy theories cooked up by people with too much time on their hands, and nothing more than paranoid chatter. But the dam has finally broken, and the absolute flood of new, unsealed files and leaked messages has made those old, nagging questions completely impossible to ignore anymore. The carefully crafted illusions are shattering right in front of our eyes, and the internet is completely losing its mind because some truly unexpected, seemingly untouchable A-list names are being dragged right into the center of this nightmare. We are talking about the biggest stars in the world, people whose entire brands were built on being wholesome, safe, and family-friendly.
There was also a lot of language that appears to be coded regarding food. I wanted to let you know the crew really appreciated the pizza. Another email read, "This is better than a Chinese cookie, see attached. Let's go for pizza and grape soda again." This one talks about, yeah, that's the pizza. You mean radiating a soft glow with the look of bliss and excitement. There's one more, I think, in this list as well. Sorry, I have no stomach for even the slightest aggro. I don't have the stomach for it for any drama, imaginary or real. I'm still fragile off the last one and scared of shadows. This is in response to some videos that were shared where Jeffrey Epstein himself says, I watched all of these videos, don't send any more. And then Ghislaine is like, I can't stomach any of this. What the fuck did you send that Jeffrey Epstein was like, no more?
At the absolute top of that list is the former queen of daytime television herself, Ellen DeGeneres. The rumors swirling around her alleged involvement and connection to the disgraced financier are reaching a boiling point. And when you start looking at the receipts, the coded messages, and the frantic attempts to flee the country, the story becomes darker and more twisted than any Hollywood script ever could be. Grab your snacks and settle in, because what we are about to uncover is going to change the way you look at the entertainment industry forever.
Earlier, I'll give you another example here. Epstein sends a message to someone. She looks pregnant, reacting to a photo. And the client replies back to Epstein, "You mean radiating a soft glow with the look of bliss and excitement? Yeah, that's the pizza." I cannot be clearer than this that this is a code word. It makes no sense in that context whatsoever. And this probably the example I gave you earlier, when his virologist gave him the medicine for having an erection, erectile dysfunction, I assume, or it could be even Viagra, and then told him to wash his hands, go have pizza and grape soda. That's been mentioned time and time again. You know, having adult men, successful men that are very health oriented, constantly talk about pizza with grape soda, which I've never heard before.
Yeah, I've never heard of pizza and grape soda before this. I don't know if that specific combination was part of the whole Pizzagate thing, but it's definitely mentioned a lot because I saw that phrase, so I looked it up and was like, is this actually like in there multiple times? And it most definitely is.
There's another one here. Have you seen the beef jerky mentioned as well? There's an email here from Jeffrey Epstein. Someone else says, Francis has time to come tomorrow to show me how to make it. Jerky, anyone? He will also bring you a taste of his jerky recipe from the restaurant and sends a warm hello. He's working at a restaurant called Coop's. Wait for it, beef jerky and steak. Yes, time at 3 p.m. There's other emails of him talking about beef jerky. Another one here, Jeffrey Epstein sending it to Steve Hansen saying, hope you're feeling better. Did we analyze the beef? Did we analyze the jerky? Now there's talks about jerky, referencing human meat. It could be for scientific research, could be something else that's even sicker. There's more emails here talking about beef jerky. Have you had time to go through those? There's one here, thank you so much, super cool. IT guy setting up Surface right now. We are ridiculously excited, and beef jerky delicious. Thank you, Thanksgiving. So yeah.
It is very, now I've got all those emails saved. I'd actually had somebody send to me all of those to say, hey, would you check this out? So I have them. I have not read through all of them, but there's no shortage of terms that are phrased in a peculiar way. Muffin is another one. I've seen that a couple of times. I talked about when he says whoops, that seems to be in very, sometimes he says that in very odd terms that seem like they're referring to somebody dying or getting, so there definitely seem to be code words.
To truly understand how deep and disturbing this rabbit hole goes, you have to look directly at the internal communications of Epstein's inner circle. According to the federal investigators and independent researchers who have spent thousands of hours reviewing Epstein's personal records and email servers, his network was an incredibly tight, highly guarded group that almost exclusively communicated in a bizarre, deeply unsettling secret code. They used odd, seemingly random phrases and acted in ways that made absolutely zero sense to any normal person reading them on the surface. Words like pizza, pasta, and especially the word jerky appeared over and over and over again in highly classified, encrypted emails sent between billionaires and power players. And let us be perfectly clear here, these were not innocent discussions about catering or dinner plans. Even sitting lawmakers who were given access to the raw, unedited files came forward and explicitly stated that the language being used was confusing, highly inappropriate, and deeply disturbing. Representative Anna Paulina Luna was one of the vocal figures who openly confirmed that these supposedly casual emails were actually packed with coded phrases and veiled descriptions that experts strongly believe involved minors. She went on the record to say that the specific way these food words were being thrown around was completely abnormal for high-level business executives. The use of the word jerky in particular sent massive shockwaves through the investigative community, because when you actually read the context of these emails, it absolutely does not sound like they are talking about dried beef. We are talking about email after email, where some of the richest and most powerful men on the planet are urgently discussing jerky being carefully stored in industrial freezers, transported across state lines in specially insulated bags, and shared like some sort of sick, exclusive currency between Epstein and his closest associates. Forensic experts and analysts have since come forward to suggest that these terms were highly likely to be dark euphemisms for something much, much worse than anyone originally wanted to believe.
All right, it was fun.
Yeah. I can't believe you got in that water.
It was so cold. It was like 50 degrees.
Look at you. So
Yeah.
it's a beautiful video, so if you want to see the whole thing, it's gorgeous. Speaking of you in your underwear, let's talk about the paparazzi shot in Bora Bora.
Okay.
So you are obviously in a private bungalow.
Yeah.
And because usually we're all pretty good at spotting paparazzi.
Yeah.
They hide in boats
Yeah.
and pretend to be fishermen,
Yeah.
and we're like,
Yeah.
you're paparazzi. I mean, we're
Yeah.
pretty good at it. How did you not see that there was paparazzi there?
Well, I just didn't see them. I think I wasn't really looking out for them either, so.
Was there a boat? When you think back on it now, can you see where they may have been? Were they
yeah,
in a boat?
yeah, they're definitely in a boat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how quickly after that was shot did you realize that happened? Did that go on wire right away?
Yeah, it was pretty much like a couple days. It was like a couple days later. Scooter hit me. He was like, "Yo, I hate to tell you this, but your penis is on the internet." I was like, "What? How does it?" And so then the first thing I saw was like the censored one, and it had like the black thing over it. And I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" Like I don't know what this is gonna look like. And then it wasn't as like bad as I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
It wasn't like terrible.
I'm no expert, but I heard that it was good.
It was all right.
Yeah. Well, what amazed me though is that got so much attention, and I was in the bungalow next to you, and when I saw it, I was shocked.
Yeah.
And I don't know how people didn't see. I was right there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
My hat. So there's a young woman in the background you can see in the bed.
Yeah, I know.
Is that your girlfriend?
No, it's not.
Just a girl that you were in Bora
Just a
Bora
friend.
with?
Yeah.
You just brought a friend to Bora Bora?
Yeah.
And you're just naked with your friend?
Why are you putting me on the spot like this? Gosh.
I mean, you can say, why can't you say you're dating somebody?
I'm not dating anyone though.
She's just a friend?
She's just a friend.
Wow.
Stop.
I have friends, I've never seen them naked like that. And they don't bring me to Bora Bora.
Stop. You're making me blush, dude.
The messages always maintained this bizarrely casual, overly friendly tone, but the incredibly specific, highly secretive logistical details surrounding the movement of this so-called food raised massive, terrifying red flags that investigators are still trying to untangle to this very day. And this is exactly where the wholesome, dancing image of Ellen DeGeneres begins to violently clash with the dark reality of Hollywood's elite circles. For literal decades, Ellen was universally known as the smiling, dancing face of daytime television. She was marketed as the ultimate safe space, the friendly, funny, relatable host who just wanted everyone to be kind to one another. But according to an increasing number of industry insiders, brave whistleblowers, and deep dive researchers, her name has been hovering far closer to Epstein's twisted world than the general public ever expected or realized. Over the past few months, a truly explosive rumor went completely viral across social media, with millions of people claiming that she was secretly Hollywood's ultimate inside connector. The internet was absolutely ablaze with extreme, almost unbelievable theories claiming that she used her massive influence and universally loved daytime persona to smooth over introductions, connect incredibly powerful people behind closed doors, and most importantly, keep things entirely quiet when the cameras stopped rolling.
Me dijeron a quién mataron, a la reina de Escocia, a la reina de Inglaterra, a las princesas de Disneylandia, mataron a Mickey Mouse, también por ese ¿qué? Aquí va a venir mi madre. Tú no te están locos, mataron a mucha gente, muere esa carne de humano, lárgate. ¡Comieron humanos! ¡Asquerosidad! ¡Comieron humanos! Yo no estaba enterada de nada. Que había, o sea, los asesinatos sí, pero que habían comido humanos. ¡Humanos! Fuera la carne humana llevan. A mí no me llevan hasta que eso no se aclare. A mí no me llevan. Ustedes que estuvieron ahí fueron a sacar una copia. Para que me intentaran, no, suéltame.
While it is incredibly important to note that none of these specific, extreme allegations regarding Epstein have been proven in a court of law, the sheer volume and intensity of the rumors alone have completely shocked the millions of fans who grew up trusting her every single afternoon. When a brand as massive as Ellen starts to crack, people immediately start looking backward to see what they missed, and the internet never forgets. People started digging up old interviews, awkward television moments, and subtle warnings that were broadcasted right to our living rooms, but completely ignored at the time. One of the absolute best and most heartbreaking examples of this is global superstar Justin Bieber. If you look back at his early career, Justin actually spoke quite openly about feeling deeply scared, profoundly uncomfortable, and entirely unprotected as a young, vulnerable star navigating the treacherous waters of the music industry. At the time, the mainstream media and the general public completely brushed his cries for help off as just the typical stress of a teenager.
I know I'm about to sound completely insane, but just hear me out. This pertains to the Epstein files, the Clintons, and cannibalism, and I feel completely fine and am totally okay. Alright, let's do this. How do we know if someone is a cannibal? Well, they could have the Kuru disease, which is a fatal neurodegenerative disease that spreads through eating brain tissue. It has a long incubation period, 10 to 30 years. Early symptoms are headaches, coordination issues, anxiety, and inappropriate laughter. Middle stage, severe tremors and shaking, loss of balance, and slurred speech. Late stage, inability to walk, dementia, and the forever sleep. Do you know of any elites rumored to have consumed human flesh? But I'm not accusing anyone of anything, this is just a fun little joke video. With truth in the mix, in Papua New Guinea they call human long pig. We just love to have fun here. No, the Kuru disease has nothing to do with the Epstein files or anyone in them. Definitely not the Clintons. And I feel fantastic, so yeah.
Have a good day.
Dealing with the overwhelming pressure of sudden global fame, they called him a diva, they mocked his behavior, and they completely ignored the absolute terror hiding behind his eyes. But looking at it now, through the lens of everything we know about the industry's dark underbelly, many people strongly believe that Justin was desperately trying to warn the public. He was a kid trapped in a room full of monsters, trying to sound the alarm without knowing exactly how to do it, and without having any faith that the adults in the room would ever actually believe him or protect him. And Justin was far from the only person trying to scream for help while the world covered its ears. One of the most alarming and chilling pieces of historical evidence tying back to these alleged elite circles happened way back in 2009, long before Epstein became a household name. A young, relatively unknown model named Gabriela Jimenez suffered a massive, highly public breakdown right outside of an upscale hotel. Raw footage and eyewitness accounts detailed her screaming at the top of her lungs, completely hysterical, claiming that she had just witnessed something utterly horrifying and unspeakable involving incredibly powerful guests behind closed doors. She was terrified, she was frantic, and she was begging for someone to listen to her. But of course, in classic Hollywood fashion, the incident was quickly swept under the rug, dismissed as a manic episode, and entirely forgotten by the fast-paced news cycle. The fact-checkers and public relations spin doctors rushed in to completely neutralize the situation, ensuring that the powerful people inside that hotel were never investigated or even questioned.
Well, tell me about your birthday party. Am I invited?
Yes. Yes, you're definitely invited. I invite you to all my parties. You just haven't seemed to show up.
No, well, is it on the East Coast?
Yes.
Well, that's why. Why don't you have one here on the West Coast? Because I work all the time.
Okay, well, maybe I have one at your house.
Where's that? Now, what time would your party start, let's say?
Like 9:30.
Really? That early?
Yeah.
I could make that.
Yeah.
But I could think of you of starting a party at like midnight. Like, what time will it go till?
That's a different type of party, though.
Uh-huh.
It'll go from like 9:30 to like maybe 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel.
And then it will carry on there?
Yeah. Then No, I mean the after party.
No, I know about them. I'll listen to the music.
But the internet sleuths of today are not letting these moments stay buried. And that brings us to one of the most bizarre and disturbing viral clips currently making the rounds. The clip features Chrissy Teigen, who has notoriously been a very close, longtime friend of Ellen DeGeneres. In a completely unhinged interview, Chrissy casually made some absolutely shocking comments about being totally open to eating human flesh if the person had given their permission. Now, in the entertainment industry, people say crazy things for shock value all the time. But when the interviewer pressed her on it and asked the question a second time, giving her a very clear out to say she was just joking, Chrissy did not laugh it off. She doubled down. She explicitly stated that there was nothing she would not eat or try, and heavily implied that consuming a human was not off the table for her.
The video clip is a short one, just 3 seconds long. It's part of the Epstein files, and it shows the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein being shown the Louvre by Jack Lang. The 86-year-old former culture minister knew Epstein for years and used his car and his plane. Lang told French media that he'd met Epstein through Woody Allen and would have cut off all contact had he known that he was at the heart of a criminal network. But Lang's family ties to Epstein go beyond casual acquaintances. The French investigative site Mediapart revealed that Epstein opened an offshore account in the U.S. Virgin Islands in 2016, and half of the shares were owned by Caroline Lang, the former minister's daughter. Her name is also in Epstein's will, signed 2 days just before his death in prison. He promised her $5 million. Caroline Lang has also responded to the site, saying the offshore account was meant for art investments, but she was never paid by Epstein or invested financially in it. Mediapart also said that Lang did not declare the St. Thomas account to the French tax authority. Lang has since resigned from her new post as the head of a film producers group.
At the time it aired, the general public just rolled their eyes and brushed it off as Chrissy being her usual edgy, controversial self. Hollywood is completely famous for its dark humor and boundary-pushing jokes. But in the wake of the Epstein file drop and the horrific code words found in the emails, millions of viewers started genuinely asking themselves why anyone in their right mind would ever even joke about something so incredibly specific and vile. To add even more fuel to the fire. Online investigators were very quick to point out that Chrissy was a frequent, high-profile guest at major exclusive celebrity events, including highly secretive gatherings connected to Diddy and numerous untouchable political figures.
As the review of the Jeffrey Epstein files is over, the same official indicated there would be no new charges. Now the Trump administration is facing backlash from Epstein's survivors and Democrats. This was California Congressman Ro Khanna yesterday.
There is a demand for elite accountability, but the survivors' lawyers that I've talked to have said that the survivors are still upset. They're upset that many of their names accidentally came out without redactions, and they want to make sure the rest of the files come out.
CBS News Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane joins us from our Washington bureau with more on this. Scott, you've been sifting through as much of this as you can. What's in this so-called final batch?
It's a process. We're still working through millions of pages here, Errol. And it's worth noting these were released more than 40 days after the legal deadline for the Department of Justice to do so. No one besides Epstein and former associate Ghislaine Maxwell has been charged, but the Department of Justice insisting its work is done.
This is exactly where the story takes a turn from the unsettling to the outright macabre, diving deep into the terrifying medical phenomenon known as Kuru. For those who are not completely obsessed with medical mysteries, Kuru is an incredibly rare, absolutely fatal brain disease that was first discovered in the 20th century among certain isolated tribes in Papua New Guinea. Scientists eventually figured out that the disease was caused by prions, which are essentially mutated, damaged proteins that violently attack the brain. And here is the kicker. The disease is exclusively contracted through the consumption of human brain tissue. It is quite literally the cannibal disease. The symptoms are absolutely horrific, leading to severe, uncontrollable tremors, complete loss of muscle control, inappropriate bursts of laughter, and major speech problems, eventually leading to a guaranteed death. The reason the internet suddenly became obsessed with this obscure disease is because an old, highly scrutinized video recently surfaced showing Jeffrey Epstein sitting in a chair, displaying incredibly unusual, uncontrollable mouth movements and strange facial twitches. Almost overnight, thousands of internet users began wildly speculating, trying to connect Epstein's bizarre physical behavior directly to the symptoms of Kuru, while serious medical experts immediately rushed to the internet to strongly warn that it is completely impossible and highly irresponsible to officially diagnose a complex, fatal neurodegenerative brain disease from a grainy 10-second video clip. The speculation spread like absolute wildfire. It perfectly fed into the terrifying narrative that these elites were engaging in practices so unspeakably evil that it was actually manifesting in physical brain damage. Supporters of these extreme theories continuously argue that incredibly powerful people in Hollywood and Washington often suddenly disappear from the spotlight, citing vague, mysterious health reasons right before scandals break. And they argue that when the untouchable elites suddenly retreat into hiding, it forces the public to ask the darkest possible questions. But we do not even need to rely on the internet's most extreme theories to see the absolute crumbling of Ellen DeGeneres' empire, because the documented, verified facts are damning enough on their own. The truth is, the facade started violently falling apart years ago, and it has only gotten worse.
I'm not going to read you all 300 names. We're going to put it up on the screen here, but this is an example of some names. Jay-Z, Beyonce, Steve Bannon, George W. Bush, Bill and Hillary Clinton, George Clooney, Ron DeSantis, Richard Branson, Fidel Castro, Kurt Cobain, Mick Jagger, Cory Booker, Jeff Bezos, Joe and Jill Biden, Michael Cohen, James Comey, David Copperfield, Robert De Niro, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Jared Kushner, Janis Joplin, Donald Trump, Mark Zuckerberg, Peter Thiel, Ivanka Trump, J.D. Vance, Chris Tucker, Rupert Murdoch, Gavin Newsom, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Elvis Presley, Brett Ratner, Alyssa Milano, Elon Musk, Larry Nassar, Barack Obama, Tucker Carlson, Rosie O'Donnell, Bill Gates, Rudy Giuliani, Nikki Haley, Leon Black, Woody Allen, Alex Jones, Michael Jackson. Okay, so that's just the sampling of the names.
In August of 2025, a massive wave of brand new claims surfaced, hitting the internet exactly 5 years after the original massive workplace scandal that effectively forced the Ellen DeGeneres show off the air forever. This time, a former veteran cameraman sat down with the Daily Mail and painted a terrifying picture of what he described as a fundamentally toxic, deeply uncomfortable, and entirely hostile work environment. According to his explosive interview, Ellen allegedly had a horrific track record of treating her male staffers like absolute garbage. He claimed the show constantly chewed up and spit out male employees, shockingly revealing that they went through 9 entirely different stage managers in a single chaotic season. He explicitly told reporters that the crew had a very strong, undeniable feeling that she simply despised men. But the most chilling detail he provided was his description of what the terrified staff quietly referred to as the Ellen gaze. He explained that when she was upset or displeased, her eyes would completely narrow, her cheekbones would tighten, and all the fake daytime warmth would instantly vanish. To him and the rest of the crew, it felt exactly like watching a ruthless queen looking over the crowd to select her next execution. That is how deeply intimidating and psychologically abusive he claimed the supposedly kindest woman on television could truly be behind closed doors. Interestingly enough, the cameraman also noted that while Ellen was ruling with an iron fist, her wife, Portia de Rossi, was actually incredibly kind, warm, and friendly to the terrified staff, but even that came with a bizarre twisted catch. He made a very strange, highly specific claim that if a male employee was ever seen chatting too comfortably or being too friendly with Portia, it would reportedly send Ellen into a jealous, vindictive rage. The staff was so incredibly fearful for their jobs that he said they actively prayed and hoped they would never be seated anywhere near Portia during company events, just to avoid drawing the terrifying, career-ending wrath of Ellen's attention. This toxic behavior is completely consistent with the timeline of her absolute downfall, which perfectly lines up with her highly suspicious, incredibly abrupt exit from the country. Just a year prior to the cameraman's interview, in late 2024, reports absolutely exploded across the internet that Ellen and Portia had quietly packed up their lives and permanently moved out of the United States, relocating to a massive estate in the United Kingdom directly after Donald Trump won the presidential election. Almost all of the mainstream media outlets immediately ran interference, suggesting that the massive international move was simply a political protest, a dramatic Hollywood reaction to the election results. But the internet was absolutely not buying that incredibly convenient, perfectly timed explanation. As soon as the news of her fleeing the country went viral, the billionaire owner of X, Elon Musk, immediately reacted online and threw massive gasoline on the fire. Musk directly responded to a viral post that suggested Ellen's sudden, desperate departure might not have absolutely anything to do with politics or Donald Trump at all. Instead, the post heavily hinted at a much darker, far more terrifying reason for her to flee the jurisdiction of the United States, pointing directly to her extensive, long-documented past social connections with Diddy Combs. Diddy, as we all know, is currently sitting in a federal holding cell, facing incredibly serious, life-in-prison legal troubles regarding racketeering and trafficking. Ellen is fully on the record, in high-definition video, laughing and joking with Diddy on her daytime talk show about being personally invited to his incredibly infamous, highly secretive private parties. When you combine her deep ties to Diddy, the swirling rumors of her connections to the Epstein network, and her sudden urge to permanently leave America, the political protest excuse starts to look like nothing more than a desperate, flimsy cover story.
Chairman of a prominent law firm is stepping down over his association with Jeffrey Epstein. Paul Weiss law chair Brad Karp says in a statement, quote, "Recent reporting has created a distraction and has placed a focus on me that's not in the best interest of the firm." The firm says Karp will remain with the firm, just in a different role. Senior Washington reporter Will Staken is here for more. Hi, Will. So what's the latest on this growing list of prominent people facing scrutiny over the Epstein files?
Yeah, Diane, well I think, Mr. Karp right here is kind of the latest fallout from these Epstein files. Like you said, the really powerful law firm Paul Weiss announced that Mr. Karp would be stepping down after his name appeared in these files. Now, the law firm did not give a reason why Mr. Karp is stepping down, and previously the law firm denied Mr. Karp had any wrongdoing, but with this release of these files, his name appears in the files, mostly with his assistant trying to schedule meetings with Mr. Epstein. But there's an email between Mr. Karp and Epstein where he's asking about if he could help, get his son some kind of job in an upcoming Woody Allen film. So I think these emails, obviously are continuing to have fallout across, widespread industries. It's kind of the latest fallout here. We saw recently that popular wellness influencer Peeper Ellen also stepped down from his role.
But Juliette Bryant said when she met Epstein in South Africa, surrounded by powerful people, it made her feel safe. a girl approached me and said she was here with the King of America, he was here with Bill Clinton and Kevin Spacey and Chris Tucker.
Bryant did not accuse the other men of wrongdoing, but said Epstein flew her to New York and then put her on a private jet.
As the airplane took off, he started touching me forcibly in between my legs and I freaked out. I realized this is not a modeling opportunity, I've been kidnapped.
Bryant received damages from Epstein's estate.
In the last few weeks, Juliet, we've seen people like royals, prime ministers, people in positions of power face real consequences. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's amazing that they're all being exposed, but I just would like to see them all held.
For not releasing all the files will not hold up in a court of law. This isn't going away until people go to jail.
40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
Red-handed?
And lawmakers directly criticizing the Attorney General, saying she ducked questions last week on why the names of some high-profile men were blacked out in the files while some victims' identities were revealed.
She wasn't confident enough to engage in anything but name-calling in a hearing. And so, no, I don't have confidence in her.
Meantime, in Hollywood, high-profile sports and talent agent Casey Wasserman announced he's now selling his agency after the DOJ files revealed he exchanged emails with Epstein's now convicted co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell in 2003, years before Epstein first pleaded guilty to sex crimes. In an email to his staff, Wasserman said he had, quote, limited interactions with Epstein and Maxwell, but said he now believes he's become a distraction to the company's work, and he said he's devoting his full attention to his other role as chairman of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympic Games.
Of course, the intense pressure surrounding Ellen is not exactly new. It has been building to a catastrophic boiling point for years. By the summer of 2020, the pressure was not just coming from crazy online rumors or anonymous internet sleuths anymore. It was coming directly from inside the walls of her own studio. That summer, an unprecedented 36 former employees of the Ellen DeGeneres show bravely stepped forward and spoke to reporters, completely exposing what they described as a violently toxic workplace. The accusations were not just about her being a mean boss. They were incredibly serious allegations that included rampant harassment, severe inappropriate behavior, and massive misconduct involving 3 of her top executive producers. The entire story went nuclear after BuzzFeed News published a highly detailed, incredibly thoroughly investigated report that completely shattered Ellen's brand of kindness. Soon after the article dropped, the media obtained a leaked internal memo where Ellen desperately tried to apologize to her panicked staff. She eventually had to walk out onto her stage, look into the camera, and deliver a heavily scripted, incredibly awkward public apology, claiming she was a work in progress, and admitting that things happened on her watch that never should have happened. But nobody was buying the tears. Former producers like Hedda Muscat, who worked on the show way back in 2003, immediately went on the news and called her a phony, a liar, and a complete hypocrite, stating clearly that Ellen had known about and actively cultivated this exact toxic culture for 17 straight years. As the international ripples continue to spread, pulling in foreign politicians like Jack Lang, whose family ties to Epstein's offshore accounts, are just now being fully exposed. And as celebrity critics like Margaret Cho continue to loudly call out the fake, mean girl behavior of Hollywood's biggest stars, the public is left trying to piece together a massive, terrifying puzzle. The ultimate truth we are all desperately looking for seems to be buried somewhere deep in the middle of a chaotic storm. It is hidden between the confirmed, undeniable facts proven in federal court, the deep-seated personal grudges of mistreated Hollywood staff, the wild, unchecked speculation of internet detectives, and the very real, very raw pain from the victims who were abused by a system designed to protect the rich and famous. The facade of Hollywood kindness is officially dead, and the skeletons are practically falling out of the closets. What do you think the real truth is behind Ellen's sudden escape and the deeply coded emails of the global elite? Let us know your wildest theories and your honest thoughts in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button if you want the unfiltered truth, and share this video because the mainstream media definitely does not want you talking about this.